for a couple of others to join. I did want to note we won't be having a meeting in May because we are going to be in Lisbon. So just if you don't get an invite for that, that's why there won't be a May meeting. And then our next meetings are scheduled for June and July. And let me just quickly pull up the calendar. I believe it's June 8th and July 20th.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll poll the group in July to see if an August meeting is necessary. We typically have pretty low attendance for anything we've ever done in August because a lot of people are out on holiday and vacation. So just to let you know that. And then one other thing I did want to mention, we had talked about the industry events, and then we'll circle back to you, Juan Manuel, just so that we can get some of the agenda items taken care of. So the industry events that we had talked about that our practice group members attend regularly, I know ones where we organize events into IFA. I think the host firm usually organizes something for IBA and invites World Law Group members. So any of those events that members attend, we have been collecting in a database, and I did create a form that Ignacio looked at the questions for the form where you can enter in, where practice group leaders will be able to enter in what that event is, when it starts, where it's located, and then we'll take it from there to work with the practice group leaders or us to create a discussion board and get the World Law Group community aware of people attending these events. And if it makes sense, we can organize a gathering if it's a large group, and if it's a smaller group, sharing the list of folks who will be attending so that we can really facilitate those meetups at industry conferences that we don't manage. So we do have that form set up to go. Alyssa and I have crafted an email to go out to the practice group leaders, since they, in theory, should be the ones that know when these events are happening. So we are making progress on that initiative. I did want to give an update on that.
Yeah, Hannah, we had a great meeting among the World Law Group firms that were attending the antitrust conference at the beginning of April in DC. It was great. We were at least 30 or kind of 25, 30. And it was great. It was great to see there, have a short meeting in that conference in a room. It was a very good. I don't exactly now remember who was the one that convened the meeting, but it functioned great. And there is another one next week in May, now in Sao Paulo. So maybe Maria Elisa, if she's around, maybe try to at least have a coffee with the ones that we are there. I'll be there. Is
this antitrust? Because I will follow up with Maria Elisa.
There is. I'm talking about three different things. One, okay. Antitrust. Yep. The section of antitrust law of the IBA. Yep. In early April. It was April, between April 4 and 8. I think it was in Washington. No, I think no, it was in Washington, D.C. during those days before Easter week. Mm-hmm. Next week, May 2, 3, and 4 is an IBA, International Bar Association meeting. There is a committee, there is a joint conference of the Latin American Regional Forum and the M&A Committee. And I'm pretty sure that some of the World Law Group firms will be there, certainly. Sure. So I will. And now this week, sorry, there is the section of international law of the IBA in Washington. But this is going on. I think it's today and tomorrow.
Okay. I don't know if we will be able to get anything coordinated in 24 hours, but. And I know that we're still working on some tweaks with that discussion board, which we had talked about before, the discussion boards being the place on our website where members can communicate with each other. And I know we've still got a few kinks that we're working out with that. But I will reach out to Maria Elisa to see if they're doing anything for the IBA that members could attend. At the very least, we can circulate an email to see who is attending and at least facilitate people making connections.
Get in contact. Correct.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. So Juan Manuel, I do think this is what our group is going to be today. I know that you wanted to continue our discussion ran over on the Net Promoter Score, which was the best practices last month. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to you, Juan Manuel, because I know that you had more to say on that.
Okay, thank you, Hannah. And with me is Maria Eugenia Nobre, also from the firm. She leads the whole process, in fact. So it's important that we can, in a way, if you have any doubts about how it works, actually, I don't know, some of you were at the previous presentation. I had the impression that there were at the end questions to be answered, most focused on how it works, how it actually works. So our plan for today will be, if you all agree, otherwise we can change, that's no problem, but it's just to go very fast on the description of the practice that we have, and then give you more time for questions or for queries if needed. So we can share a screen, I believe, Maria Eugenia, so we can start. And maybe we can go a little bit fast. So, well, this is okay, that is the definition. Okay, I mean, you probably be aware of, in airports or shops or whatever, the concept is now, is the way to measure the loyalty level of our clients. That is how many of them are our fans. Okay, this is what we try to measure. Okay, so once a year we try to measure this: the trust, the value, the action, and this gives us I mean, and the advantage of that indicator, which is sometimes tough and hard, let's say, and sometimes very rewarding, is because it's very easy, it's simple, and it's comparable. Okay, so next slide. So we classify our client in 3 different categories. The promoters are the ones that qualifies as 9 and 10, which is very high. Which mainly, basically, they are our fans. They are the clients that talk about us constantly in a very well way. Okay, they promote us. They won't change us for anyone else, even if there is another for example, law firm that provides service for a less price, for example. We measure that too. So it's our hardcore of clients that are very loyal to us. Then we have the passive. Okay, they are the ones that in the answer 7 or 8. They are contacts that know with us, they work with us, but value our service, of course, because they say 7 or 8, which is not bad, but they don't always recommend us. Sometimes those are the guys that for which the law firm is in a way imposed by their head office or something like that. So they are not so happy or so fan of us. Okay, if they were asked the question, for example, would you recommend, they say 7 or 8. And if they say ever 7 or 8, they say that they will not necessarily recommend you. They are in doubt. What we are saying here is that they are at stake yet. And the detractors are the ones that answered 0 to 6. Those are the ones that even if they work with us, they will recommend another firm. So then, now this is the question: how likely are you recommend We Are Regulars to a friend of a colleague? And the formula, let's say, of the Net Promoter Score is the difference between the percentage of promoters, 10 and 9, minus the percentage of detractor, 6 to 0. Maybe you can explain, Maria Eugenia,
yes,
about us, about this now.
The indicator NPS can range from -100 to +100, and this is because you can have all the questions, all the answers, for example, that would be, I don't know, all detractors or all passive answers. So that's why it can range from -100 to +100. And an NPS is considered world class if it is more than 70%. And this is something that is very important. Perhaps it's even more important than the rate itself. And is that we also ask our clients why they rated us that way. This helps us understand the reasons why they recommend us or not. And it encourages us to take action and to continue to improve year by year. And another thing that is very important about the question is that it also helps us to identify new needs on the clients and also to know what the clients are value the most at these days. And for example, one thing that is very clear among our clients is that they are valuing the team that they work for, and the fact that a law firm doesn't have to be only an advisor, but a partner in business. So that's something very interesting. Juan, I don't know if you want to.
No, go ahead, Yuri.
In Guyer, we began measuring NPS in 2013, and year after year, we have been outperforming in numbers and respondents. This means that we have been improving our results year by year. In fact, in the last 3 measurements, our NPS has been consistently world class. This means that the results had been more than 70%. This is something that is very remarkable, because we know that there are legal benchmarks that indicate that the average on the NPS is commonly at 40% or 45%, and we are around 70%. And so this is something very remarkable. And then we have something that we call a closed loop. That is the process that we manage, that we follow when we receive the answers from the clients. Because when we receive an answer from the client that is not so positive, we could say that has something negative on the answer, on the question, why do you rate us that way? We look at the answers in the moment, and we follow a process where we make sure that the partner involved with that client talks with the client and really tries to understand what is happening with the client. Mm-hmm. Perhaps Juan, you want to give more detail there.
Yeah, no, just maybe hopefully we can end just to make some conclusions, but I would like to be quite honest with all of you. We are a group of friends here. Sometimes it's a little bit difficult for, at least for a small country like Uruguay, to talk about ourselves, and we don't want in any way to sound like we are patronizing anyone. Of course, I mean, it's like we really and we honestly believe that this is a good practice, a best practice of our firm, because it's part of our culture. It's a real part of our culture. Our culture is so important within firms. It's more than, you know, a measure. It's more than, and at the end, and then we can talk a little bit. At the end of the day, what we are trying to assess with asking those questions is how strong is the relationship that we have with our clients. Defining our clients as the people that are working on the corporations, not the corporation itself. Of course, there are, certain explanation that at the end of the day, your client is the shareholders and blah, 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 blah. But the key issue is that we need to understand if Nacho, for example, working at client Y, if he is feeling that we are providing solutions to him in his work, in his at the work that he has in the client. Go ahead, Nacho.
At every law firm, there is a key contact partner that, has the relationship with that client. You send this net promoter score, you get a low score for any reason. Who takes the lead in approaching the client and talk to him, and how that impacts the relationship among the partnership?
Well, that's such an interesting question, because I expecting that question in a way, because it helped us to talk a little bit about concept a little bit probably more profound than the one that we are talking now in terms of the definition of the idea. The senior partner of the firm sends the email to each one of the clients, each one of the persons. It's a base of approximately, thank you, Maria, approximately 100 clients.
Sorry, we have a list of 100 of the highest turnover over the last 2 years.
Okay,
but that number is clients. The contacts are approximately 800 or 900.
Correct. The people,
yes.
the person that received that. Okay.
Yes.
So the senior partner sends the email asking that question, and the answer came normally quite easy. And at the time, and then we can go to the process. At the time that there is an answer saying 5, for example, for a client that works with, let's say, Nacho Minorini. Okay. So the senior partner said, Nacho, your client puts a 5. Please call him within 48 hours, 48 maximum hours. Don't complain. Don't say, this is unfair. This is very unfair. I look a lot of work for you. Why you did so? And, putting a defense. No, on the contrary. Okay. Thank you for answering the question. Thank you very much for answering the question. We appreciate. We need to understand how we can improve that, because it's evidently that you need something better, that we are, maybe it's an appreciation problem, but doesn't matter, because it might be an appreciation problem. It might be a problem of communication. It might be a problem that Nacho Minorini is not the proper partner to lead with that guy, with that client. So that goes with a concept that within Gullerin Regules, we don't have clients. Even though there is a relationship partner, dealing with a client, clients are not in any way only talking with only one partner. Okay.
Yes, one thing I would like to add is that internally we have developed a concept that is, we have the partner who is responsible for the client, but we also have a definition that is the client working relationship owner. That is the person who is in most relation on a day-to-day basis, we could say, with the client. So sometimes it's not only the partner itself, the one who talks to the client directly about the problem, but also the client working relationship owner. We have developed this internally, and we have it on our database. So if you search in our databases the client, for example, you will see that it has a responsible partner, but it also has a client working relationship owner.
Right. So why don't,
just a quick question, are both of those partners involved in that phone call that would be part of the follow-up? And do you guys have some sort of script or communication points that you say, you know, Nacho says don't call, or Juan Manuel says don't call them and complain? Do you have a script of like, here are the questions that you should be asking, here's a conversation that you should have to get that feedback, and then something in place, sort of a change element in place following that?
Well, kind of, not a script, or kind of. There are certain words that are forbidden, like complaining about the measure that we have received. Okay, that is completely forbidden. We need to we say thank you very much for your feedback. Okay, thank you very much for your feedback. We really appreciate. We understand that we may have made some mistakes. We just simply want to understand how we can improve our services. You have my word that I'll do my best to solve the issues that you are saying. Word is not ideal. Sometimes the clients simply complain, you know, every year, and the next, and the next, and the next, and the next, and even if the problems that they are saying that have been at the end of the day solved, then we may have take the decision to ask the client to leave the firm, because it might be not a client for us. It is quite weird, quite strange, but it may happen. It may happen because maybe if there is someone that says A and you solve A, and then B and you solve B, and C and D and M, at the end, probably he or she simply does not want or like to work with us, and that's fine. It's not the proper fit. But going back to the question of Nacho about the relationship with the among the partners, that works quite easy, Nacho, honestly. Really, it's you know, it does not create that kind of difficult conversations. I mean, it's quite natural. It's quite natural. Sometimes the answers sometimes the answer comes from the answer for the comments, not for the qualification. Okay, sometimes they say, I don't know, for example, they say 8, for example, which is passive. Okay, and they say, and why? They say, well, I normally work, I used it to work with Juan Manuel, but at the time that I started to work with Nacho, the relationship becomes much better. Period. We need to talk, Juan Manuel and Nacho, and say, okay, this is what the client is saying. Okay, there is no hard feelings. Okay, it might be a fit, whatever it is. Let's move a change. Let's make the change. Let have Nacho to attend that client for a while and see what happens. And if the next year, in the next round of the NPS, the answer is that this guy say now they put a 9. This is because Nacho is a better fit for this client than Juan Manuel. And that's it, no problem. I mean, that really, don't problem. I mean, we don't have, to be honest, we don't have any compensation system among the partners for which that fact affect their compensation. Okay, assuming that.
I'm sorry. How do you, I mean, somehow prevent that once the questions are sent out, any partner from the firm starts calling the clients, their clients, in order to say, please give me some positive feedback. You got this questionnaire, please. I mean,
they don't have the answers or immediately. I mean, they don't have access. Partners usually don't look at the answers at the moment that the client is answering. What we do is when we do a follow-up, a daily follow-up on the answers, And when we at the business development team identify some of the answers that has to be reviewed by a partner or by the client working relationship owner, we pass it to the partner that we know is involved with that client. So not every partner can talk with that client.
No, and besides that, Nacho, and more specifically to your question, is that first, this is part of the process, is forbidden. Okay, we all accept that we cannot contact the client asking for that, and we all accept that rule, and we respect that rule. But there is another, let's say, mitigator of that risk, that it may happen eventually. We believe it's not happening, but it is not only one person that answer a question for one client. The base is made, for example, I don't know, let's say let's talk about a very common or important client of us, which is Banco Itaú. The list of contacts of Banco Itaú in that amount of 800 that Maria Eugenia just mentioned is not only the higher people there that are included, but also people that are very junior guys there, but they have a lot of interaction with us. Okay, so sometimes it may happen that maybe the general manager say, okay, no, yes, William and Regules is a 10, they are great, but then the commercial VPs or the people that work alongside juniors or intermediate or associate say, but I don't know, they don't answer my phone calls when I call. So channel. That is again information. So it's very difficult to influence over the process. Even I would say it's even impossible. At the end of the day, the truth will be the one that talks. Okay. So closed loop. I don't know if but we can go again. Yeah, go ahead, Maru.
No, here we have details about the process and some of the things that we have been talking about already. For example, that we select the first 100 clients with the highest turnover over the last 2 years. We select all of the contacts from those clients that have been flagged as relevant by our professionals. So it's what Juan Manuel was saying, that we send the question not only to the general counsel, but also to the other people on the client that works really, that really interact with us. And we also have a process that we can identify contacts that are within Interaction, that is our CRM, that has a high interaction, a high level of the IQ, because Interaction has an IQ that is calculated by a logarithm, I don't know, but we have developed a way that our systems like communicate with Interaction, and we take those contacts, because sometimes what happens is that the partners and the professionals don't always recall all of their important contacts. So we show them a list of contacts that perhaps is larger than what they were expecting, because we try to get all of the contacts from Interaction. So that's something very good, because this way we are not forgetting any important contacts, we could say. Also, another thing that we do is that we validate from the contacts that we sent the previous year. So we make sure that we are not forgetting anyone important also, because sometimes it happens that last year we sent the question to a person that this year the partner didn't mention. So this way we make sure that we don't forget anyone. And also sometimes it happens that in our database, there could be 1 or 2 clients, I don't know, because they are really a few, that doesn't have contacts related to them. So what we do is we like research really one case by case those clients to make sure that we find a contact from those clients so we can send them the questionnaire. And this is also all reviewed by each professional. Last year, we developed here at WLG like a website, or I don't know how to call it, an application perhaps, that every professional gets on a web page, we could say, the list of their contacts, and they go reading and clicking this one, yes, no, yes, no. So it's very simple for us then to process all of that information and to transform it in data to send the question. So that's a very huge improvement that we have accomplished last year, because on the previous year it was all manual, so it takes us a lot of time to do all of this process, and now we have improved a lot on that.
Yeah.
And then, well, it was what Juan Manuel was saying. The email is sent on the name of Nicolás Herrera, and we customize our there's something. Oh, sorry. The last thing that I will say is this: we have developed also a way to classify our clients, so we know what is the history of the answers of the NPS. So we are able to classify them in different categories, and this is very very interesting also to know how they respond in the different categories. So Juan, no sé if you want to add anything else.
No. If that is the end, I don't know, but go ahead.
No, just because Hannah was saying that we have to. I don't know if you have any questions that we.
Yeah, I think we've got a couple minutes if anyone has a question, but probably no more than 5 minutes for questions, just so that we can hit our next topic. But go ahead, Janos.
The question, well, Juan Manuel, what I would kindly ask you to tell me is how can I get some more information as to the software you're using, to the program you're using, because say that to my mind, in Greece, we do not have, no law firm has a approach. And I would like to examine the possibility of introducing one for my firm. But I would need some more input. So just if you could just drop me,
of course,
I would appreciate it enormously.
Of course, we will. We can share. Yeah,
it's great. It's absolutely great.
Thank you, Juan Manuel. If you can send me an email, I would like to discuss it with our marketing department.
Yeah, no problem.
And Juan Manuel, is that something that we could share with others as well that have not attended the meeting today? It would be the business development committee list.
The presentation, of course.
Yeah. Okay.
If anyone then wants to reach me, like already, I mean, Janos and Nacho already did it. So reach myself and Maria Eugenia. We can explain more in more detail how it works, and if there are some firms that already had that. To be honest, we avoid to put the numbers. We have the numbers, and we are proud of the numbers. We are above Allen and Overy and above Linklaters in the Net Promoter Score, even in Uruguay. Okay. we avoid to mention because the typical humble Uruguayan humble, but the truth is that we are very proud of that. Very proud of that. But it's not a miracle. It's just to finish. It's just a process that Maria Eugenia, puts a lot of effort on that, and a lot of people working on that. That is part of the, let's say, the success, because it's a lot of effort, because making the list, having the proper guys or ladies or whatever. I mean, it's very difficult. I mean, not sending, the NPS to someone that shouldn't be in the firm, for example, or just left the client. So you need to be very, very, very careful about not making mistakes at the time. And then you need to react rapidly, because if you don't react, that is a boomerang. Okay, if you react rapidly and if you react honestly, and you say, okay, I understand it might be a problem, which not necessarily it's a problem for the partner. Maybe it's an administrative problem or accounting problem or whatever. But if you react, and that is the last concept. Sorry, Hannah, but it's important. If you react, then the client feels strongly that the client that she or he has a chance to improve the service that he or she receives, and that is very strong in terms of loyalty. No, it's like in relationship, like in marriage, like in friends, like in whatever. Okay, so it's not very different from that. So at the time that they realize that they can improve that, so they say, okay, that works. That works. I need to answer that question, because every time that I did, the service was better. It will finally better the year to come, and that creates a virtuous circle. If not, well, then you may have a problem. Okay, and the problems that we had, which are very few, were like that. Were criticisms or comments that the client gave to us, and we didn't react rapidly or in a proper way. So the client say, okay, why are you asking me question and then doing nothing? And then we probably left, the client left us. So that is how it works. Sorry for the long story, but it helps. So thank you, Jano, thank you, Nacho, and we will share the presentation with everybody, and then maybe Maria Eugenia can send you an email, Nacho and Janos, to explain a little bit about how it works and so on.
Yes,
and
Thank
help
you.
you on that.
Thank you, Juan Manuel. We might implement. Go ahead, Janos.
With all due respect, this does not apply to marriages. I have to correct you.
Yeah.
In case of you have to be very slow before you respond. So you have to take your time, otherwise it may be a boomerang.
Well, definitely, we're not gonna send a net promoter score to our wives. That's for sure.
Well, let's give a try. Give a try.
So but okay, thank you, Juan Manuel. Thank you, everybody. I think we should move to our next item in the agenda. I mean, we've been discussing with Hannah, with this group, about what knowledge our partners in different law firms have about the World Group. And what we detected is that the information is not very consistent. We have a lot of partners that are really involved in the World Group. They are actively involved in the practice groups, and we have other partners that simply they do not know, or they do not have sufficient information on the World Group. And I have in my firm, for instance, I detected some partners that are used to working with a World Group firm, and they simply don't know that, that firm is from the World Group. So I will leave the floor to Hannah to explain about the idea that we're implementing.
Sure.
Thank you, Maru.
Thanks, Marie. You can drop off if you need to. Thank you, Ignacio. So as many of you may know, we currently do WLG meet and greets, and those are quarterly. And that is just an opportunity for the staff team. And then we typically have, I think, a key contact partner and somebody from marketing and business development and a young lawyer, Beth. Is that typically who we try to get on those? where we just sort of generally talk about World Law Group, excuse me, and the benefits of the various programs, groups, et cetera, that we offer. And it's a very sort of high level overview, doesn't really get into any sort of the nitty gritty. And those have been well received, but I think sort of the next step from that would be offering custom presentations to the members. And I know some of you at previous meetings said, yes, we would absolutely do this. So this would be to, your executive committee, or if you have a board or whatever, however your management structure is set up, new hires, laterals, your marketing and business development team, sort of whatever works for individual firms. And so I don't know what we're going to call these yet, but we are thinking about putting it under more broadly what we would call WLG University, which would also include the meet and greets, any educational materials that we have on World Law Group, because we do want to be able to really help you guys educate your colleagues on what World Law Group is, who the member firms are, and how they can work collaboratively with other members. So we came up with a list of questions, which I dropped in the chat in case anyone doesn't have the agenda in front of them, that we would poll members. So we would send this out to all KCPs. If they want to have a presentation, they say yes, and then continue filling out the questionnaire. And if they don't, they can just not fill it out or check no. But I would be surprised if anyone said, no, we don't want this, offering from World Law Group. So I wanted you guys to weigh in on the questions. Are there other questions that we should be asking people? And this is just sort of the first step in the process. We send the key contact partners, this form that they would fill out. And then I would reach out to them with Ignacio to say, okay, really, what is it that we're trying to do here? Who are we talking to? So that we can make these presentations custom. And I would say these would be half-hour presentations, 45 minutes, really depending on what the needs of that particular member would be. And, this could definitely spiral into something even more where we would invite members from other firms to come and talk based on the practice areas or the location that particular firm would like to hear from. So does anybody have any thoughts on how that process will be run, or the questions that we have dropped into the chat and that were also in the agenda today? Is there something we're missing? How many of you would actually do this? Just a show of hands, like, we offer this, will you sign up to do this? Okay, that's good to know. Janos, did you have a question?
Yes, my question, Hannah, is the following. There are law firms, a member law firm, say in UK, and also they have, and we have also another member firm in France. The UK entities, and actually the UK member has merged with another law firm in France outside the network. And they have formed a new firm under the name of the UK member firm. However, the people, the lawyers in the French offices, they don't know about the existence of the World Law Group. Why? Because the previous firm, the French one, merged with the UK one, had their own choices all over the world, and in Greece, anywhere. How do we face this? Remember that in France, I say it is an example, it's not really a real example. In France, we have a member firm, but this UK firm has an office in France, and it is not in our directory. How do we face this situation? I have lost many matters coming from such a situation where we were absolutely unknown to the new merged firm.
Yeah, and I think that's one part of the education. So I'll back up one step to talk about our jurisdictional policies, right? So we have a policy where we really only promote to and allow members to be involved in the network for their own jurisdiction or for a jurisdiction where we don't have a member. So that gets a little sort of dicey there, right? So if they merge with a firm, and we've already got a UK firm, right? So technically, those folks wouldn't be allowed to be involved in, and that UK might not be the best example because currently London is an open city, but that country would not be able to be involved in our practice and industry group meetings, authoring articles, speaking on seminars, etc., unless of course we got permission from the firm that is the member there. However, you know, when firms do bring on new lawyers, they can market to their entire firm regardless. They can talk about World Law Group to their entire firm because, you know, just because we're not allowing them to speak doesn't mean that they wouldn't be allowed to refer a matter to another member firm. And I think that's part of the education, right? Like us educating, one, what the rules are, and two, what is the message that you should be sending internally to your firm about World Law Group and what our capabilities are and what our offerings are. So I think part of that is education. And again, we have done a really great job over the last 2 years. I think COVID really pushed us into this of reaching member firm lawyers that aren't the key contact partners, that aren't the marketing and business development professionals that we talk with every day. And in large part because the key contact partners and those marketing and business development pros communicated internally to their firms about World Law Group. And we've just seen, I mean, I think like 80%, Beth, I don't remember what the exact number is, but it's a large percentage, like 80% of the folks that get involved in our practice and industry groups are not key contact partners. A lot of them, are new faces over the last 2 years. So I think one, us educating the educators being the key contact partners.
I have a remark, Janos. I mean, your example is just an example. You also have to look at the French firm, because your expectation apparently is that the French part of the UK firm who has a French arm will send you work to Greece. Look at the French member firm. The French member firm will say, if Janos instructs France, I want to be the exclusive French member firm. So if you do not only look at your inbound business, but also at outbound business, it's a different situation. And I agree with Hannah, then simply tell the UK firm key contact partners that they should inform the new French arm on the capabilities of the World Law Group. In my experience, a lot of things are going on there, a lot of opportunities, and in the very end, it's not really the issue that in one or the other situation, the instructions go this way or the other way around. In a lot of cases, it's the client's decision. And we have situations in which we have multi-jurisdictional corporate housework, and then let's say in one country, they do not want to work with the CMS office, and they work with the World Law Group office. I don't mind. The client is the king, and if the client will be happy, then I'm happy too. And I do not only instruct and involve CMS offices, by the way. The only issue is I will not tell it publicly, because then I get pressure from my CMS partners. We recently involved for a big client, not only Indonesia for pitch, but also Brazil's Tosini, and not CMS office. I mean, in the very end, I need to look at the client and what does make the client happy. And if the client is happy, then everything is fine. If I have any maneuvers, and teaching is the best way. Recently, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I had a presentation to the Stuttgart Associates so that they learn more about the World Law Group. Some of them are involved in World Law Group work, others not, and that's the best thing to do. And with a lot of examples from World Law Group work everywhere in the world.
Thank you, Harold.
Ignacio, did you have your hand raised a moment ago?
No, I just raised my hand to say that I would go for this program, for my firm.
Great. Does anyone have any comments on the questions or the process for doing that?
One thing I think would be interesting, and I think, Nacho, you mentioned that one of the purposes of this is to help educate those lawyers in our firm who just don't know about the World Law Group, is the same way we're suggesting that we want to hear about, because I think this is a great question. I want to hear how other firms manage reporting inbound and outbound. But I think it'd be interesting to hear how other firms who have had the issue of having a large number of their partners not know about the World Law Group because of a merger or because of them being recently added to the firm, they're lateral partners that just arrived in the last few years, how you get them up to speed quickly. And so obviously what you're suggesting, Hannah, is that you guys would do these presentations, which I think probably is a very helpful tool, but I'm curious if there's other ways. And we're doing a lot of that already internally, so I'll be able to share things on what we do, but I'm just curious what others are also doing. And maybe a lot of it is moot because it's related to the pandemic. And I think just going back to Lisbon and seeing many of you guys in person again is going to change things again. So, but still, maybe some people have plans for the future or can share things they were doing before the pandemic. I think that topic is always a helpful one to keep present in our discussions.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really interesting. And I mean, we can do both things, you know, to have these presentations and also have like meetings and with these firms and know from them what they did in order to cope with this situation.
And maybe that's just a simple question to find out. I mean, I think we sort of have a general idea of firms that have gone through those types of mergers or brought on an entire group of laterals, that sort of thing, and maybe a question about that just so that we know. And maybe that's a whole sort of separate discussion with those handful of firms to talk about how they've been able to do that or what their challenges have been and how we can help them overcome those challenges.
It might be a good roundtable discussion kind of thing, because I'm sure every firm really has some story to share here, things they do well and things that don't work. So maybe if we're just in tables, it's been so long since we've had a meeting, but I know that we used to do those sort of tables, and then at the end, every table sort of shares some of the highlights that they discussed. I don't know what the format is, but maybe that's the type of format that would work for this.
Yeah, I think, and that's something that we could consider. You know, we've got pretty much the agenda set for Lisbon, but maybe that's something, you know, for some sort of BD focused session or generally focused session where we're having these smaller group discussions, which we have gotten really good feedback on when we've done that at past conferences, Luke. So maybe that's something for us to consider for the Atlanta conference. Any other comments on the internal presentations? And as always, you guys can send me an email. So I'm going to work to get this in a form that we can then circulate to the key contact partners. We are going to introduce this to the delegates, sorry, I was lost for words there, to the delegates at the Lisbon conference, so that everyone outside of the BDC and the groups the folks that attend this will be aware and prepared to be receiving that email and signing up and working with us to create those presentations. And of course, we may reach out to you as a business development, and Ignacio, I know if you have to go, that's totally fine. We may reach out to some of you as business development committee members and longstanding key contact partners to be involved in some of those presentations.
Okay.
The last item on the agenda, I did drop into the chat. Let me make sure I actually dropped it in there. The link for the industry event. So if you're attending an industry event, you can go ahead and fill out that form, or if you know of colleagues who are attending, they can go ahead and fill out that form so that we can start reaching out to our members about those. Just had a couple of reminders. Ashley sent out an email regarding some sessions for Summit. If you have not filled out your response for that and picked your sessions, please do so this week. We do have regionals back. Those are the in-person events for senior associates and junior lawyers. America's June 9th and 10th, and that is in Houston, and EMEA June 23rd and 24th. Is that in Ireland, Beth? I did not write the locations on here, but I think it's in Ireland.
Okay.
And then Beyond Borders, which is our virtual program for associates, will be coming up soon. That's over the summer. If you have any programming suggestions, or if you've heard of things in your firm that you think might make a good topic, please email us and let us know. You can email Ashley or me or anyone on the team. We communicate pretty well.